Can we talk about that clip?
Well, that's one of the reasons I'm assuming I'm here. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to get into that for sure.
So that is actually the first thing I wanted to talk about. And we both, you knew that I was going to bring that up. Yeah. What prompted you to do that? And I have an idea why, but
that video, like old school PowerPoint that I did, right? I actually started that about a year ago. And I started working on it and adjusting it, and I wasn't sure if that's something I should do or not, right? But it kind of felt right to me. I was hearing from so many coaches and parents, with issues that were going on in the AAU or the club world, and the conflict with high school basketball, and a bunch of players looked like they were going to go to prep school, in their grade 12 or grade 11 year, and I just thought enough is enough, and so I put out the video, and it was interesting. I mean I knew it would be a bit controversial, but the number of views it got, it was insane. It was over 30,000. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. And it was very interesting because for the first 5-6 days, 99% positive. All the comments, good. Yeah, Ebes, I'm glad you said it. And it wasn't just, coaches in high school, but this was club guys. Club guys were calling me and saying, Ebes, thank you. That's really good. So I felt very good about it. Now, you said something in your podcast with Jaden that I think is incorrect. You sort of mentioned that you thought it was a shot at Drive, right? And truthfully, it wasn't, right? Now, I know Drive is doing a prep school-like thing, and we'll be competing with high school. So certainly that's one of the things I'm talking about, is what I think of that idea. And I'd actually talked to Pasha Baines, the owner-operator of Drive, a few days before I did the video. So he shouldn't have been surprised at anything I put in there, because everything I put in there I spoke to him about, right? And I just didn't agree with this model, not for BC, right? It's just not really appropriate for how we run things out here. It doesn't work. So I think didn't surprise anybody with it. But then about 5-6 days after the response, all of a sudden, maybe 5 or 6 dudes started coming after me, and they didn't like what I had to say. And I have no problem with that. I think having a healthy discussion is what we need to do about it, right? Now, unfortunately, some of them chose to get personal, because you know how social media is. Mm-hmm. And so that created even more of a stir or controversy, I suppose. But, in the end, I stand by what I put out. I believe it. I'm proud of it. And I think, as you can tell from the responses, well over 90% of the people understood what I was saying and agreed with it. So, no, I think that was an important video, and I'm probably going to be putting out a couple more over the course of the next month or so.
Well, the way I interpreted it, when you put it out, it was just so simply made, and you had all the stats to back it up. And it was, for me, I just thought of it as you weren't mocking the prep school system or anything like that, but you were just kind of there was a bit of a humor to it. This is what it is. This is the stats. This isn't something. Yeah. This isn't your opinion, or this is what you think of. This is what it actually is.
It's true, because that's why I called it the math of BC high school boys basketball, because math is always right. We can sit here and have a disagreement, but you can't say that 2 + 2 is 5, because it's not. And it never will be. 2 + 2 is goddamn 4, right? So that's why I wanted to put out the math of, so kids and parents know, and some people mistook that for you don't want kids to play after high school, and you don't want to encourage them in their dreams. And if that was the message people got, I didn't do a good enough job, because that's not what I was saying. But I was just laying it out for, this is the math. 2% of boys playing BC high school boys basketball go on to play post-secondary basketball. 2%. That's a pretty accurate number. And then when you break it down further, it's I can't remember the exact number, but it's infinitesimal, the number of players that go play NCAA Division I, right? So I just think it doesn't mean you shouldn't pursue it. We definitely have players who are good enough. But here's the thing. If your goal is to play Division I, then you need to actively pursue it. You need to work hard. You need to get after it. If you don't get a chance to do it, that's okay. Right? You learn from failing. So, okay, what's my next plan? I want to play. I can't go Division I. Where am I going to go? Am I going to look at a Division II? Am I going to look at youth sport? Let's go find somewhere else to play, right? And I think what happens is some people get so caught up in the fact that they want to play Division I, and the fact that people are telling them that they're going to play Division One. And then all of a sudden that doesn't happen and they don't know what to do, right? So you have to be realistic. I don't think setting high goals and being realistic, are apart. They're the same thing. You just have to make adjustments to it, right? So that video I put out, it was just gave the numbers, right? So people have to understand, hey, this is your opportunity, this is your chance. So you have to be so good and you have to work so hard if you're even going to have a chance. And I don't think we're doing any service to kids when we are telling them, hey, come play for me, I'll get you there. No, you won't. You won't. As a coach, I can help. I can assist. I can give players ideas. I can help push them. But in the end, it's the player that's going to have to make it. Not me, not the coach. We can help and assist. But we also shouldn't be telling kids, oh, yeah, you're Division One. Yeah, you're going to play. And a lot of these more sleazier operators are telling kids this. Why are they telling kids this? Because they want them in their club and they want their money. I mean, I'm sorry, that's just a fact. Right? There's a lot of great clubs in this province, and there's a lot of not so great clubs, right? Just like there's a lot of great high school coaches and there's some not as good high school coaches. But unfortunately, in high school, we're all volunteers, right? And so kids get an opportunity to play for their high school, and it doesn't cost them an arm and a leg either, right? For the most part, not in the Lower Mainland. But when you have club operators telling parents that you're going to help get their child a Division One full ride scholarship, they're lying. They're just lying. The numbers prove that they're lying. And so why are we deceiving kids like that? Why? I think people are doing it because of the bucks. There's a lot of money involved in it. And it really pisses me off because it's not doing our kids a very good service.
Right. And that one part, and that kind of segues into the one part I noticed in the video when you were talking about, like, you weren't, that's exactly it. Like, the way I interpret it, you weren't saying, you weren't telling kids not to pursue their dreams or set high goals of going D1 and wanting to pursue that and strive for that. But you were also, there was one segment where you said, don't jump ship in your high school career and go to prep school, right, and leave behind your high school experience and striving to, go to provincials and do all that. Like,
yeah, and that's a big part of it because that's another lie that our kids are being told that, hey, you're a great player, but if you play with your high school team, you're not going to get very much better. You don't have a lot of good players in your team, and your coach isn't that good. And you have to go to prep school. Like, come to my prep school, and I'll help get you to that level. And I think that's, for the most part, that's a lie because there's a lot of prep schools that are totally sleazy, and they're expensive. And obviously it would be inappropriate of me to list players' names. But right now I could list a dozen players who left early to prep school and ended up either coming back and playing for their high school again the next year because it didn't work, or they didn't make it in Division One and they're not playing anymore. So my suggestion to high school kids who are elite players is play for your high school. Enjoy that experience. There is a lot of tangible positive benefits beyond basketball of doing that. Like, think about it. Like, if you've been at your school for 5 years, 4 years, you've got a group of friends that you like, you got a bunch of teammates that you like, probably a bunch of girls that you've met and like it's, enjoy it. Go to your grad party, go to the weekend party, right? Have fun and enjoy it, right? Because it's your last chance to do that. And then when high school is done, if you're not quite ready, like, maybe you need to get stronger, maybe you need to get bigger, maybe you have to work on your grades, maybe you have to get quicker. Like, if you're not quite ready, then go to a prep school. Take that year almost like a redshirt year, right? Because I can list you a bunch of guys that did that. I mean, let's talk about Fardas Amac, 6'11" kid from Steveston, London, right? There was so much pressure on him to go to prep school. But he didn't. He stayed and he played with his high school. They didn't win it, but they came close. And after high school, he went to prep. And all of a sudden, he got way fitter, skinnier, stronger, quicker, because he had a strength coach that helped him, and he ends up playing Division One, and in 1 year he led the country in rebounding. Had a very successful career and playing pro overseas, right? Like, that's the way to go. And I could list a bunch of guys. Listen, there's a guy that played for me. His name is Max Nadolvu Fraser. And he was on our Final Four team. And, I don't think he'll mind me sharing this story. So he had a lot of pressure to go prep school. because he played, a lot of club ball, and he thought about it. And I met with him, and I met with his parents, and in the end, he decided not to, which was the best decision possible for him, because he was the most social dude.
Yeah, I know.
Right? And he loved to have fun with, and those guys had all been friends since they were like 11, 12 years old. And we had a very good year for the high school team. He had an enjoyable year. He went to prep school in Edmonton after high school. He went for a year, got a little bit bigger. He still needs to get much bigger. I tell him that all the time. He improved his game, and he ended up getting recruited by
Long Island University. Yep.
Right? Whose coach, by the way, played in the NBA. Rod
Yeah.
Strickland. He was a great player.
Really
Played
good.
for Portland. So anyway, so he's out there now, and he's given that a shot. So good for him. If he had left early, I don't think that happens for him. That's just what I've seen with players. Most players who leave early don't end up being that successful.
Why is that though? Like in theory, it would make sense if Max has always been a Long Island University caliber player. It wouldn't matter what route. I mean, what is that that defining factor? Like leaving early. But
I think the defining factor is like you have to be in BC. If you're not one of the top 4 or 5 players, then you shouldn't go anywhere. And if you're not 6'10", you shouldn't. Right? For the most part, those are the guys that'll have more success. But here's the thing, right? I can name a bunch of players. I'll give one example, not a name. A kid who left early, he left 2 years early, bounced around at 2 different prep schools, and then took a year off, trained, and then got a scholarship to a Division I school. Well, that school that he got a scholarship to, they were already recruiting him when he was in high school. They knew who he was. He was a very good player, right? They knew who he was. So he could have gone to that school right after high school instead of spending, tens of thousands of dollars on prep schools, right? Because he ended up at a place where he would have been able to go to anyway. Do you know what I'm saying? So is that beneficial? Would he have not gone? No. If you're good enough, they will find you. And that's another myth. Right? People say, well, I go to school, I'm up in Trail, I play up here. And, no one will ever see me up here. Nobody knows. I have to move down and transfer to a school in the Lower Mainland. That's bullshit. You don't. If you're a good player, people know who you are, especially now. Because look at all the opportunities you have to play in the spring and summer. There's all these AAU programs and clubs, right? I mean, the amount of social media, all your games are videotaped. You can, people will find you. People will find you. If you can play, they will find you. So again, I don't think you need extra time at a prep school because it doesn't seem to work out a lot, and it's a lot of money.
yeah, so that kind of answered my question that I was going to ask. Because on the flip side of it, a lot of there's an argument where kids could say, I went to prep school, and if I didn't go to prep school, I wouldn't have gotten that D3 offer or that D2 look without going, right? But what you're saying, you kind of alluded to this, is that if you were going to get a D3 offer or a look from a D2 school, it was going to happen anywhere. It could happen in Trail, BC.
I for the most part, I believe that because I've seen that happen all the time, right? And I just think there's such value. There's such value in playing with your friends. There just is. Being around your friend group, staying in high school, and because, there's so many experiences in high school, you're not going to get in a prep school. You're not. It's a business, right? You're going to go there, and if you're not good enough, they're not really going to do anything for you, right? They'll bring in somebody else. It's just the way it works. But that's not the experience in high school. You get a rounded experience of all kinds of things. And I think kids that don't do that are missing out. Now, if you go away to prep school, are you learning a lot? Well, you are. Right, you're on your own for the first time. You maybe have to stay in a dorm or in a house, and you might have to budget and do laundry. So there's some valuable life lessons you learn. There's no question. But if you look at the numbers, and that's how I try to do it, so it's not biased. If you look at the numbers, most people who have gone away early to prep school have come back. It just didn't work out. It was a disaster, right? And there's some guys who went and came back, played their high school year, and did outstanding and got a scholarship after high school because they played high school. Look at Jaden. Jaden's one of the best players I would probably say we've produced in the last 20 years. And he played 3 years for a great coach in George Bergen, but he played 3 years of high school. Now, he did the summer and spring stuff, which is awesome too. So he got lots of exposure there, and he went on to an amazing career after high school, right? He didn't have to go to prep school, right? And so I think it's important that people understand that. And there's something else too. There's this misconception that if you want to get noticed as a player, then you need to transfer to a top program, right? That's not true either, right? Like, I know that I'm a good coach, and I know that I put a ton of hours in, and I've been doing it forever, and I know that. But the guy up the road who's coaching at another school, who's a parent, right? A volunteer parent because they don't have a coach, is he as good a coach as me? Probably not. But he's still volunteering and giving of his time to help those group of kids play, and they'll be fine. Like, even if the program isn't one of the top programs or you have a really strong coach, you'll be fine, because if you really want to play, you know what it takes. It can't be somebody else pushing you. You don't make it that way. You have to have the most insane competitive drive and work ethic if you want a chance to make it at any level after high school. So you don't have to be in the greatest program or have the greatest coach to also get better and move on, because of the other opportunities with club and Decibel BC and all that stuff. So I hate it when people disrespect other programs like that maybe don't have the strongest coach. Like, that really irritates me, because that person who's volunteering their time to do that team is putting in hundreds of hours on behalf of those kids. And to disrespect that person because he's not a great coach or hasn't coached before, or, oh, look at it, he didn't run things properly. I have no time for that. That's valuable what those guys do. And high school basketball's in trouble, just like all high school sports. So we don't have a strong base of young coaches anymore, right? I mean, like, I've been coaching for 40 plus years, and I was the young guy coming up, right? I don't see a lot of young guys coming up anymore. So, that's another reason, which we'll get into, is why this now incursion into the high school season by clubs is very, very bad for high school basketball, but is bad for clubs too.
Okay, so I want to go to the first part of the. We're not developing.
By the way, just cut me off anytime.
No,
if I'm rambling, feel free
you
to
do
cut
your
me
thing,
off
man.
anytime.
No. You have the keys to the car. You can go off. I mean, it's not an issue with me. I want to go back to what you just said about not having a young crop of young coaches. Why is that? Why?
I would say that people in education, it's a bit of a different mentality. So back when when I first became a teacher in 1990, you saw teaching, and I don't want this to sound corny, but teaching was a calling. It wasn't just a job. Like, you knew that you were going to teach your classes, but you also knew that you were going to coach a team, or you were going to help with the drama program or student council, whatever. Like, that was part of your job, even though you didn't get paid for it. And in my opinion, it's the best part of the job. Like, it's what kept me so young and kept me in teaching, because I love the coaching, because you just can reach kids in such a better way. But that was kind of the philosophy. That's not the way it is anymore. New teachers coming in the system are kind of view teaching as, an 8:30 to 3 p.m. job. And I find that kind of sad. They don't want to get involved in doing extra stuff. And here's the other weird thing. And again, I'm sounding like, the old crotchety old man, but a lot of new teachers coming to the profession, they don't even want a job. They want to teach, they want to sub. Because TTOCs, subs, get paid a huge amount of money now. They're almost on par with teachers in terms of their payment. But if you're a sub, you don't have to mark, you don't have to prepare the class, you don't have to deal with parents, and you don't have to do report cards. So a lot of teachers are passing down full-time jobs and say, no, I'll just sub, because there's a shortage, right? So if you're a sub, you can get work every day. But if you want to take a few days off to go away, you can do that too. And so that's the mentality shift that we've seen in high schools and in teachers. And that's certainly hurting sports and athletics, because we're running out of coaches in terms of young people.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even think of that side of it. I mean, that's not even something that I was even aware of, that subs are doing that. And subs do get paid on par with full-time teachers.
Yeah.
I want to also, I talked to Jaden about this, and I kind of want your opinion on it.
Sure.
I've noticed it with my time coaching since I would say 2019. It's been a few years I haven't coached, but I've noticed, and I can't really put a finger on it, and Jaden kind of talked about it. I feel like there's a lack of a competitive edge with these kids these days, man. And I don't know if it's me getting older. I don't know if that's like
Right.
me. It's a just me becoming, getting out of it and kind of like keeping just gatekeeping my generation. But I just feel like there's less shit talking. There's a bit of it's a bit watered down in terms of the competitive fire and fierceness. And personally, I think it's because who these kids are looking up to. I mean, we had Kobe, Kevin Garnett, Carmelo Anthony, even LeBron, young LeBron. But now it's just, these guys in the NBA, they're all friends. They're all, influencers. And basketball is just kind of another form of income and revenue. And it's not... have you noticed that? And what are your thoughts around it? And what Jaden's answer was around something around the fact that toxic masculinity. So if you do talk shit, if you are trash talking, if you are holding your teammates or whoever else accountable, you're being toxic, or you're being. Have you noticed that? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting because I do think the lack of competitiveness, I have seen that a little bit. I think more so there's a lot of more entitlement, I would say. What I would say is a lot of kids today, their parents will excuse things that they do or will blame somebody else for it, right? Instead of holding their own child accountable. So if you're never held accountable, if you can just, then why would you have any competitiveness about you? Because if you lose, well, it's not my fault. I did everything I could. I'm great. So I think that's a big reason why. And you talk about growing up, what you got to watch, right? Well, I mean, I was in the era, the Celtics Lakers era. That's a wonderful 30 for 32. There's a 3-part series about that.
Right, yeah.
They hated each other, like legitimately, right? They legitimately hated each other, and none of the star players on those teams were looking to go anywhere else. They loved their team, they loved their city, whatever it was, but they would just go after each other. Now, they respected each other, but they wouldn't talk to each other. No. They were so competitive, right? And I think it has changed a little bit in that if you look at the NBA now, I mean, what happens if players just move all the time? They move constantly. So how can you develop that fan base around a really competitive team that has a rivalry with somebody else when your best player now is playing for the other team? Right, I think the NBA has changed dramatically in terms of player movement. Back in the day, you kind of played with one team, especially if you were the best player, but that's not the case anymore. So those rivalries don't get built up as much. Plus, everybody, and you play with them, and so there's a story about Kobe when the U.S. was playing Spain, and it was right at the start of the game, and Kobe had told some of his teammates what he was going to do because he was teammates with Pau Gasol, right? So Pau Gasol went to set a screen off the ball, and Kobe just ran him, just ran right through him. And this is his teammate, right? And he did that on purpose because he wanted to send a message that, hey, yeah, you're my teammate, but we're playing for a gold medal. Like, the hell with you. If I got to run you over, I'm going to do it, right? That kind of competitiveness, I think we see a little bit less often now.
It's gone.
And I think it's because of a lot of entitlement. And there could be something to the fact how young boys are being raised, maybe in a different way, being asked to hold back that side of them, which I think is a mistake. There's nothing wrong with competition. As a matter of fact, what people find out is if anything, after you finish, playing sports in high school, if you don't play anymore, post-secondary education is pretty competitive if you want to get in. Getting a job is pretty competitive if you want to get a job, right? Like, if you don't understand how to compete, it's very tough for you to have a successful life. You have to understand how to compete. And you also have to know that competing, if you compete hard against somebody, it doesn't mean that you hate them or dislike them, right? Like, one of my favorite things to do is when I play one of my ex-players who's now coaching, or a coaching buddy of mine, I get up for those games more than any other game, and you want to win so badly. You just want to kick the shit out of your best friend. Yeah. I mean, that's because then you can taunt them and mock them, and,
Yeah.
But if I lose to them after 5 minutes, I'm proud. I'm happy for them, right? Like, you can be competitive, but still have really great friendships with other people. Like you can do that. Those things are not mutually exclusive. But nowadays, sometimes they tend to be, I think, more exclusive of each other, which is a shame.
Yeah, yeah. And you mentioned that young boys are being told not to reveal that side of them. And
yeah, there's definitely part of that. Yeah, I think that's true. Right, and the thing is, you have to understand how to develop that. Right, like I want the young men that play for me to be extremely competitive. I want them to work super hard because those are the qualities that are going to help take them through their lives to have success. Right, those are the things they're going to do. And we have to remember too, like if I got a high school team of 15, I'd be lucky if I had one player or two that would be good enough to play after high school. So what about those other 12 or 13 guys? Don't they deserve to have a really positive, awesome experience playing on their high school team? They maybe deserve it more because their careers are going to be over, right? Like there's such this emphasis for the top players. Well, what about these other guys? They matter. Like they matter just as much. They deserve to have just as good an experience as the best player does. And I think we forget that sometimes, right? For 95% of kids playing high school basketball, that's it for them. I mean, they might play intramurals and stuff after, but that's it for them. Don't they deserve to have an amazing experience too? I think they do.
I think that's just a testament of who you are, though, Ebes. I think that's just you being a good person. Bottom line, I don't think, right? I mean,
I appreciate that. I'll tell you a story. As you know, I have lots.
Yeah.
I was at a BC Lions game about 10 years ago, maybe more, maybe 15. And I was sitting there watching the game, and all of a sudden somebody taps me in my shoulder. I look behind me, and I know this person. But when you're a teacher and you've taught as long as I have and coached as long as I have, it's pretty hard to remember everybody's name.
Yeah, of course.
Excuse me. So as he's talking to me, I'm going, I got to figure out who this is. You learn all these great tricks as a teacher, right? Oh, so good to see you. Oh, man. How long has it been? When did you graduate? I can't remember. And then they'll tell you. And so you slowly start to figure, and then you remember who it is. So that all happened. And then I know who this is. It was a kid that had played for me at McNair. Really nice kid. So it was actually more than 15 years. It was like 20 years ago. And he starts talking. He goes, Ebes says, you know what my favorite memory is? And I'm like, when we went to California or, when we made the Final Four. No. He says, it was a practice. I said, a practice? He says, yeah, it was a practice. I said, well, what was so good about the practice? I don't know if you remember, but there was a practice where you were just in the foulest of foul moods. And I said, oh, yeah, there's a few of those. Yeah. He said, and we were screwing up and you were so angry and you were getting so mad. And then you made a point, and then 30 seconds later, I did the exact opposite. I totally screwed up. And he says, and you turned to me, and you just laid into me.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, my God, that's your favorite memory? Yeah. And he says, yeah, you know why? I said, why? He says, because right then and then I knew I was a member of the team. Because you wouldn't let the starters get away with it, and you were always really nice to me, but you didn't let me get away with it either. And I thought about that, and I thought, wow, that's really interesting, right? Like, that actually, I think, informed a lot because even if you're the 13th man, I believe that you can't win unless everybody's on board with what you're doing. And so here's a guy who was part of the team and a great guy. Everyone loved him, right? Didn't get to play much, but he loved it that one practice when I just got after him because he felt like he was just like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
So you can have an impact on everyone on your team. And quite frankly, if you're not trying to do that, then you shouldn't be in this business.
Wow. And you know what, Ebes, I have a story. I'm sure you remember this. I don't know if you remember this vaguely or anything, but do you remember Henry Fan, the little...
I remember Henry,
lefty Asian point guard?
Yeah.
I remember RTC.
RTC, man.
It was a while back.
That was at Palmer, right?
It was at Palmer.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Wow, a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, and it was a quite long practice every single time.
Yeah,
it was around
I think it was
3.5 to 4 hours.
4 hours, yeah.
And in between, about halfway, we had about like a 40 minute break.
Sure, yeah.
Of something, some sorts like that. And it was me, Henry, and Noma. Do you remember Noma? Noma Obaseki.
Oh, yes. Yes, I remember Noma.
Tall, skinny.
Yeah.
We had walked, for some reason, we were a little bit late walking to the corner store or whatever, and we already knew we were going to be late. It was we've already accepted that we were going to be late, so me and Henry came up with the brilliant idea to make up a story and tell you, because you had a thing where if we were late, it would, not end well.
Yes,
there would be some
absolutely.
sort of punishment.
Yeah.
And we already knew we were going to be late. We already accepted that. So me and Henry came up with the idea to tell you that we got mugged.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
And, you kind of played along with it. And I remember being a kid in grade 9 or 10, I was like, whoa,
You
he's
were
actually,
convinced you got away with it.
yeah, I was like, whoa, yeah, he's actually like getting, he's falling for it. He's going with it. And then, yeah, and then you ended up rolling on us. You did, we did have a punishment. And to this day, I mean, I still see Henry a lot because he's my friend, and we do some boxing together, and we always talk about that story.
I do. I remember that. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And huge point to you guys for creativity. I mean,
Yeah.
that was just the best. Right?
Yeah, oh yeah. You didn't fall for it for one bit.
No, but it was a good story, so it probably was easier on you than it would have been, because
Yeah.
I like a good story.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Absolutely.
We were really...
the tough streets of Richmond,
Yeah, oh yeah. We were really nervous to tell you. Because it was... We were really trying to go, we were trying to make it convincing
of course.
as it can be.
But that's a little thing, isn't it? But the little things are what matters, right? Like if I as a coach accept the fact that my players come whenever they want or they come late, how am I doing them any kind of service? How am I helping them in any way to be successful in life? You're 10 minutes late, who cares? Right? Like, no, you're late. There's a consequence to it. Now, sometimes there are reasons you're late that are excusable, of course, right? And that's fine. But you have to be accountable. And the weird thing is, today, there's more ways to communicate than ever, right? Texting, WhatsApp, cell phone, it's so easy to communicate. And I tell this to my players, I'm saying, for crying out loud, we have a chat. We have a group chat. Like if you're going to be late or you're sick, you have to tell me. And practice starts at 6 and it's like at 5:59, oh yeah, coach, I'm not coming tonight. Are you and back before we even had cell phones when I was coaching, it's weird, but that never happened. If someone was going to be late, they got a hold of you and you knew. And they, we're talking landlines, right? Or messaging. And guys just weren't late. Nowadays, oh my God, it's the biggest fight I have all the time. Is just understanding the importance of being on time for something.
Does that go back to entitlement?
I believe it does. I do. I believe it does. It's like they don't understand that by them being late, you are inconveniencing other people. Or if you don't tell me you're going to miss practice, I spent 2 hours on a practice plan, dude. And now you're not there, so I have 11 guys. So all these drills I had planned with 12 guys, I can't do. And you don't tell me you're not going to be there until 5 minutes before. These are important. Learning those types of skills is way more important than having a great step back jumper. Those skills will carry you through life. And I do think my really good team at West Van 2 years ago that made the Final Four. Great, they were good in grade 8 and grade 9, and in grade 10 very talented. But I hadn't coached them yet, except I'd coached some of them as grade 10s because I brought them up. And I remember as grade 10s when they first came to one of the games. And they came in the gym and there's half an hour, 20 minutes to go, and sat down on the bench and changed, and then got on the floor and I said, what are you doing? I'm warming up, coach. No, you're not. Look at the clock. What do you mean? Well, look at the clock. You're supposed to be here 45 minutes before the game. You're here 10 minutes. Sit down. And it blew them away. They were so mad. They couldn't understand why I was holding them accountable for that. And again, not saying it's club's fault, but the club culture is different, right? If you're playing 3 games in a day in a gym, then you literally show up 5 minutes before the game and you play. And nobody says anything and nobody cares. And I don't think that's the way you should run a program. You have to build a culture. It's about building a culture. And just walking in before the game and expecting to play is not acceptable, because what boss is going to accept that? What job is going to accept that, right? What wife that you might marry someday is going to accept that?
Yeah.
So I think it's totally part of the job we need to do is holding kids accountable. And once they learn that, man, they become much better people.
Yeah, I think with club basketball too, it's almost becoming more attractive to play club basketball than it's high school. High school's kind of on the back burner.
In some ways, I think the one thing that we have in high school basketball in boys, and even it's more important for the girls' game, is we have the provincial tournament, right? And that's something that every basketball player aspires to get to, because it's so well done. It's such a big deal. There's 5,500 people watching the final day. Like it's probably the best amateur sporting event in the country. Like it's incredible.
It's a spectacle, yeah.
Right, and so a lot of kids want to have an opportunity to do that. So they'll stay and play with their high schools and in both boys and girls, because they see the draw of this amazing tournament that you might be able to be part of.
That's the only thing holding it together, though.
I think it's right now, it's the most important thing. And there are some coaches out there, right, like myself, who are doing everything we can to hold it together too, right? Like, our high school basketball association, Aaron Mitchell's the president of, I'm like the executive director, I helped them out. Like they're trying to do things to attract more coaches. They're trying to do things to promote the game, the high school game. Like we're really trying hard to, because I think it's really important. People like, for example, when I talked to Pasha about his new prep school idea, I told him I didn't like it. I mean, I was just honest, right? But, there was a comparison made like, well, but it'll just be like any other club. Like, look what soccer does. Those kids all play for their soccer teams and play high school soccer. And I'm like, yeah, but that's a terrible comparison, because high school soccer, did you play any soccer in high school?
I didn't know.
Okay, so high school soccer is you go to the tryout, you pick the best guys, and then you just go play games. You don't train, you don't practice, you just don't do it. Yeah. So basketball is very different, because you are training November, January, February, and the beginning of March, right? So I don't understand why we need to have an incursion on that. And so this whole prep school that Pasha's trying to run, I know what he's trying to do. He believes, and it's a reasonable belief, that the best kids need more training. That, if they're playing for their high school, that the players they're playing against in practice aren't really going to push them. They're not going to get exposure, and they're not going to get better, and they need extra training. And so that's kind of already happening. But his concept originally was they were going to play games. And this is where I have a problem, because now you're putting kids in a position where they have to make a choice between their high school team or their club team. And that is so unfair to put kids in that position. Why would you want to do that? And why do kids need that? I think club basketball should run in September and October like they do now. Have some leagues and clubs and games, do training. Once November comes, take a break, man. November, December, January, let's leave that for high school. Leave it for high school. Because most kids, especially if they're younger, their high school seasons are over by the middle of February, even by the end of January. It's just the senior boys and girls that go late, right? So just leave us alone. Let us do our thing. Let those kids enjoy being part of high school. And then after spring break, go ahead. Have your tryouts. Do your club in the spring, in May and June, and then do it in July. And then when August comes around, leave them alone. Give them a month off. Yeah. They need time away. You can't expect kids to play year-round. It makes no sense, right? So why can't we do that? I think that's reasonable. Now, I know what clubs are going to say, that, well, this is my livelihood. This is how I make my living. And that's fair enough, but I don't think those 4 months are going to make that big a difference, right? You're already making enough. I mean, I shouldn't say that. But they're making enough money already. They don't need another 4 months, right? And you have tournaments now, like basketball or BC basketball events, I think they're called. They're now running tournaments in November, in December, in January, in February. And I'm saying, why are you doing that? Right? You're putting kids in a horrible position, right? Like, you have to now go to your high school coach and say, hey, I can't make the tournament this weekend because I'm playing in the North Shore Elite Basketball All-Star Showcase. I have to go to that because, there's going to be scouts there watching. Oh, come on.
And there's a bit of missing out if I don't do it. The fear of missing out, fear of getting that exposure if I was to go to this showcase.
Right, but what are we teaching kids now? That it's okay just to abandon your team. It's okay just to turn your back on your friends because you want to, leave them alone. Let them play high school. Why would?
And it's not the kid's fault.
It's not the kid's fault.
Right. Okay. I see what you. Yeah.
It's not the kid's fault at all. Right. But it's not a position you should put kids in.
Right.
Right. And so I don't think running and let's call it what it is. The team that Drive wants to. It's not a prep team, because when you're in a prep team, you're playing games all the time and you're going to school for the most part, right? This is basically just extra training for elite players, which I have no problem with. But don't put them in a position where they're going to have to choose between going to their high school practice and yours or between going to their high school tournament and your tournaments. I think that's wrong, and I don't think that we should be doing that.
And so I'm not too I'm not too privy to this whole drive prep school, but are they playing other prep schools and other tournaments in the state, or are they playing high school teams in BC?
No, high school teams are not allowed to play club teams.
Okay,
so my understanding now, BC School Sports actually put out a full page document about it because they were getting a lot of calls, and basically what they said is yes, kids can play for this drive team, and there's no problem with that because some were concerned about whether they could do both. Because, like if you go away to a prep school and come back in January, let's say you're grade 11, you're not going to be allowed to play for your high school team. You'll have to sit out the rest of the year and you can play next year, right? Or if you go in your grade 12 year, and I know a couple of kids did this, and they went to prep school and it didn't really work out. They came home back to their high schools. They couldn't play. They were ineligible. But this is different because it's not an academic program and it's not a tournament program. But in this press release BC School Sports put out, there was a statement that it said that it was just training and not playing games. Now, if it's just training and not playing games, fine.
Sure, yeah.
Fine. Because that's already going on now. I would just ask that any club that wants to do training during the high school season, please don't schedule those sessions with the players' high school season, right? Like, talk to the coach and make sure you work together. So I'm fine with that. But if they're playing games and they're playing tournaments, I am not fine with that because that's not fair to put kids in that position where they have to choose. And quite frankly, how am I doing any service to if I have my best player who wants to go and do this other, whatever it might be, experience, and they're going to say, hey, coach, I'm going to have to miss this tournament and that tournament. That. Oh, too bad. Well, you go do that experience. You're not playing for me. I don't care. I don't care if you're my best player. I can't allow that when I'm telling these other players, hey, if you want to get playing time, you got to work hard and you got to attend every practice. And now I got my best player who just parachutes in for games or whatever. That's not on. That's teaching all the wrong things. I wouldn't want to put kids in that position.
What if, hypothetically speaking, the tournaments weren't conflicting? Because I remember back in high school, even when I was playing, there were still club teams like 3D, Drive. They were still running tournaments, but I remember it would not conflict with high school schedule.
Right.
And so there a couple times I did go to a tournament, but I knew I wasn't missing a hands worth practice or a hands worth tournament. But if it was conflicting, I always knew that high school trumped everything else, right? And
but think of the potential pressure we're putting on kids. These are kids, 15, 16 kids.
Yeah, they don't.
And you've got one guy saying, hey, you got to come here to this because I'm going to help make you a star. And you got another guy saying, hey, no, we got a high school. You got to play with your friends. Like, why would we want to put kids in that position where they had to make that choice? It's just not needed. Just have seasons of play. There was a time where high school basketball continued. It wasn't official, but there was something called high school spring leagues. And they used to run all the time. We used to run them in like April, May, and June, where you'd get together with your high school buddies. There was no coaching or anything. You'd play games, right? Well, high schools don't do that anymore. Why? Because clubs are now doing it. So, high school said, okay, I'd like to continue doing stuff, but you know what? My players have all these opportunities on these different clubs. They can do that. That's fine, right? And so that's the club season. The club season should run from March, middle of March to the end of October. And then the high school season should be November to February. I think we're doing a better service to kids if we keep it that way. And I just think clubs need to respect what's going on in high school, and high schools need to respect what's going on in club. So let's do it that way, right? This BC basketball events, these tournaments are running. I just don't understand it, right? Why would you want to do that? And they're doing it for the younger kids. So you're on your grade 8 team at Handsworth, and now there's a tournament the first week of December with your club, and you're being told by your club coach you have to come, and you're being told by your high school coach you have to come. It's not fair to the kid.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I wonder, that's the thing, Ebes, though. I think, I don't blame kids sometimes, though, when because some of these clubs, they make it so appealing and attractive for these kids to choose club basketball over high school basketball, right? knowing that, for a club like Drive, I mean, they're going to the States and playing the highest level teams, going to the, playing against top tier competition in the States. I mean, that to any kid, even when I was a kid, if I was in that position, I would be like, hey, I do want to go to Houston and play against Bradley Beal Elite rather than playing Argyle on a Thursday, right? So like, I do get that, but it's just.
But how honest is that, Mo? Let's be honest. There's a lot of club tournaments because I've been to them. People forget. I think myself and Bill Disbrow were the first people to ever run a club. I ran a club in the 90s, right? The Richmond Nike Basketball Club. That's what I ran. And it was my players and other players from Richmond, right? And, again, just viewing things differently, right? How did I finance that team? Well, Nike actually was a sponsor, so that was nice. The kids all got shoes. But I'd figure out, okay, how much is it going to cost to go to Vegas for this trip? Here's the airfare, here's the hotels. All right, boom. And I'd figure out the total, and I'd charge the kids. I wouldn't charge them for my time. Right? So that's just different, right? Now there's no, it's a business, right? But back then we just didn't look at it that way. So I ran a club, right? I had kids playing, and none of the kids, by the way, that played on my club ever transferred to my school. That's another thing that clubs do. They encourage students to transfer to other schools, to get together to form a super team. That happens all the time. Now, there are high school coaches that recruit too, and I know I've been accused of that, but it's laughable. All you have to do is look at my career to know that that's absolutely laughable. I coach who's there. That's it. But I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? This is what happens when you turn 60, Mo.
You ran a club.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I ran a club. And so I went to all these tournaments, right? And then, of course, coaching provincial team, ever since the early 90s, I've been to all these tournaments. I've seen them all. And the truth is, most games are not against elite competition. Most games, there's no coaches in the gym watching you. It's just a fact. That's just a fact. So this myth that, oh, yeah, you're going to get seen and get exposed. Are you kidding me? I mean, you're just not, right? Unless you are an elite player and you're playing against other elite players. This idea that, well, you get more exposure, it's not true. It's just not true, right? And as I said before, if you can play, they will find you, right? I remember going down to the big tournament down in Seattle, just north of Seattle. It was in Bellevue Community College. It was one of the biggest tournaments, and all the best teams were there.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And I remember doing provincial team there, and playing like Rotary, and and there's some very good competition. But I was down there not as a coach. I mean, not as a coach of a team. I was down there as a college coach, mainly because if they had a pass, you pay like $100, and then you're in for the week. But the best part was they had the best food. They had a barbecue out back, and coaches got the free barbecue. That was the main reason I wanted to go.
Yeah.
'Cause, we watched some games. So I was there, and there's a bunch of Canadian coaches there, and we were watching games, and a lot of them were there to watch one player, a certain player, right? Okay? So the next day, that player's team from BC, they were playing in like an auxiliary gym somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And I was curious to see how many coaches would be there to watch, because this player was very good and had been hyped, big guy. And so I thought, I want to go watch him play, and I'm going to see. And in that gym, when I went to that gym, there was me and Scott Clark from TRU, right? And there was coach from Portland and an assistant coach from, I want to say, Santa Barbara maybe, right? That was it. And this guy was probably the best player in our province that year. And that was it, right? So when players are being told, hey, come play for our team because we have this really good player, and all the coaches are going to watch us, so they're going to see you too. Oh, come on. It's just not true.
It's not true.
It's just not true, right? Like it's not true that you can tell players, hey, come play for us and you're going to get all this exposure, right? Yes, you're going to get some exposure. There's no question. But most coaches are not coming to watch our teams play. They're just not, unless we have some really, really good players, and then they might be there. So I think, like I see stuff on social media all the time, like, oh, gym is packed with coaches watching our players. No, they're not.
And that's a matter of fact.
Yeah, it is. And again, I know that the club guys are probably going to be mad at me. I'm not shitting on clubs. I'm not. I think there are many clubs that do an outstanding job. And I think for kids who are passionate about basketball and want to play year round, I think the opportunity to continue to play club ball in the spring and summer is good, right? But at some point you have to give these kids a break, right? Like clubs should not operate in August. But again, I understand it's different because it's their business and it's their livelihood. And if they can make money doing it, I have no problem with that. Like I don't. Mm-hmm. I don't want to come across like, that they're not ethical or they're scummy because they're making money. I'm not. It's a good thing. I say all the time, if I was only a little bit smarter, I would have run my club in a different way and made a little money for myself. Right? So I don't begrudge that at all. But I do think there are some limits. And the other thing too, and I said this, I rewatched our podcast from before. Oh, yeah. Number 2, baby, right?
It was number 2.
It was your second one.
It was the second episode.
Yeah, and it was still the zombie apocalypse was still going on with COVID.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm gonna do it before and after with.
And I talked about it, in that podcast with you a little bit too, right? Like, I think kids should play other sports, right? I think there's nothing wrong. Like I've said before, if my kids want to play football or rugby in the fall, I go for it. It makes you stronger, better conditioning. Like, I think playing other sports is something that I think is now seen as bad, but it's not. I think kids shouldn't specialize so early. They really shouldn't. And then even as they get older, pick the sport you want, but it's okay to still be involved in another sport. It's healthy for you and it's good for you. And I think most coaches actually want to see that. Many coaches I've talked to, when they see that a kid is a multi-sport athlete, they actually are impressed by that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think specializing in doing one thing for 12 months is not a good thing to do.
Right. I want to bring a kid up that I absolutely adore his game, did it the right way, and it kind of encompasses everything you just said. Calvin Kuzik.
Yeah.
Love it. I never got the privilege to coach him, but he's one of those guys, man. I just stayed under the radar, wasn't really wasn't a social media guy, wasn't posting all his clips, did it the right way, stayed on his path, didn't go to prep school, played under you for...
He actually played for me for 4 years.
4 years.
As a 9th grader, I brought him up for about 10 games to play on the senior team, and he was a starter for me as a 9th grader.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
And Ziad and Max, they all played up too.
Yeah.
But Calvin is a special player. He unfortunately, he's very laid back. And like you said, he doesn't do all the hype. No. He likes his game to do his talking for him. And I think you'll find that he'll probably have a pretty successful post-secondary career.
I think so.
He's gone to Calgary.
Yeah.
And, I think over time, he'll be pretty damn good. And you're right. He was very deliberate and very quiet, but what a great point guard. He's phenomenal.
Oh my God, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And I got to work with his dad. His dad was my assistant.
Yeah.
Dad's a really good dude too.
Really good.
Really good dude. So that was enjoyable coaching him, and I'm really curious to see how he ends up doing because I think he's got the stuff to be pretty successful.
And I want to ask you about him. How much? I mean, you get a lot of credit for who he is and who he became as a player, but how much of him is just his nature? Is it?
If he played for somebody else, he'd probably just be fine.
Just be fine,
right?
Hey?
I think. I think as a coach, it's our job to teach our players, if they have those goals to play at the next level, it's our job to teach them what it's going to be to get there. It's our job to push them hard to get there. It's our job to make them understand how hard they have to work to get there, and show them the way. But ultimately, it's up to the player to do those things. And Calvin's work ethic, he would have done those things regardless because it's just who he is. He's in the gym. He's working on his game. He plays a bunch of club ball too. And yeah, he's a special player. But it goes back to what I said at the beginning. You have to be special if you're going to make it after high school. You have to be.
So this goes. I kind of want to go back to my.
By the way, Calvin became the all-time leading scorer for West Van basketball this year.
Wow, yeah. That's a big accomplishment. I mean,
it's huge.
Yeah.
Well, I've never. I mean, as you know, I've coached a tremendous number of exceptional point guards. But I never had a point guard who actually played for me and started for me as a 9th grader ever before. And once 10th grade came around, he started every single game for 3 years. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So with him, going back to my point before, if he was to go to prep or not, he would have still most likely ended up at a Calgary
Sure.
level. Like it wouldn't
I
have
think-
been like if you went to prep, oh, he may have gone on a D1 look. You know what I mean? Like
Right. And I mean, truthfully, you can't really predict that. You
can't-
don't know
yeah.
for sure.
I just
Right? And that's the other thing, too. It's not just about going to prep, it's about going to the right prep. Because there's a lot of fly by night operators. There's a lot of preps that are bullshit, that promise things they can't deliver, and it's all about the money. So it's like anytime, if you're choosing a school to go to, you're choosing a prep to go do your research, do your homework, and make sure you know what that prep is like, because they're not all created equally. So if a player like Calvin had gone to a prep school for a year, could that have helped him get maybe a higher offer? Yeah, because he's going to probably get stronger. He's probably going to get quicker and more physical, and he's going to play against older guys. So that's going to help him develop. Would that have given him a better opportunity? Maybe, maybe not. I don't necessarily think so. But, I can't say that for sure. You never know, right? It's possible, right? But again, that's why you should go after high school, because that's the other thing too. With the transfer portal and, with guys still using up that extra COVID year, like true freshmen, have very little opportunities to play anywhere. It's just a fact. Because if I'm a coach, if I coach down at Western Washington, let's say, Division II, and I'm losing 7 players, but I can go in the transfer portal and I can get like 4 pretty decent fourth-year transfers who've already played 3 years and maybe a couple years of Division I. Well, that's who I'm going to get. I'm not going to get the 18-year-old. Right. And I think, truthfully, that most universities in Canada and the U.S., I think, have no interest in developing players anymore. I believe that. It used to be a time where if you were coaching a university, you'd bring in a kid as a high school player, maybe you'd redshirt them for a year, and then first year they'd play very little, second year they'd play more, and by their third, fourth year they started for you. You develop that player. But that's gone. That doesn't happen anymore. And it's not all the coach's fault, because let's be honest, it's the players' fault too. Because what did they do? They go somewhere, they don't like it, maybe it didn't work out, they don't think they played enough, boom, they transfer. And they put their name in the portal, and they go play somewhere else. It's insane. Do you know, in Indiana, one of the most storied programs, Division I high-level team, this past year, he lost all of his players. He lost his entire team to the transfer portal.
wow.
I know, it's nuts. So it's really changed. So when coaches are recruiting and even in Canada at youth sport level, when they're recruiting, they're not looking for high school players anymore, unless it's some 7-foot stud, right? They're not. And you hope to find somewhere where someone can at least develop you, be at a junior college or whatever, to give you a chance maybe by your third year to go play. This is different now. It's very different. Kids transfer all the time.
I have a few thoughts on that though, Ebes. The self-advocacy piece, and I don't know, I'll use Max as an example. I love Max, great kid. Goes to Long Island University, maybe redshirts, maybe plays, does okay, feels like he could do better somewhere else, comes back or transfers to another D1 or D2,
Sure.
or comes back and plays UBC,
Sure.
does well, and
Sure.
goes on with his career. Like I understand the self-advocacy piece in transferring if you feel like you can, do well somewhere else. Like,
I
can
have no
you see
problem with
that part of it?
I understand that, and that's important, right? The only thing, again, is kind of an old school guy. You go somewhere and you don't play much, and you think you should play more, so you're disappointed. But there is also value in working yourself through that,
Yeah, okay.
right? Like, hey, I'm having a tough time. I don't like what's going on. I think I'm better. The guy should be playing me. It sucks. There's some value in saying, okay, I'm going to prove this guy wrong. I'm staying. I'm going to work even harder in the off season. I'm going to get even better. And by the time we come back, he's going to have to play me, right? There is some value in that. And I'm going through that process of having a tough time and learning how to deal with it. It's pretty important, because you're going to get that all the time in life, right? So sometimes I think there's value in doing that. Now, if you're at a place where it's just a bad situation, where you don't like the coach, you don't like the program, you don't like the school, then that's a bit different. But I think the fact that we're giving up so quickly without, there is value in that. I've had guys in high school, for example, who was grade 11s, didn't play much for me. And they thought they were better than they should have, and they weren't happy about it. And, I talked to them, I explained it to them. And then all of a sudden, by the time in grade 12, they start for me because they worked their way through it and they understood what they had to do. So there is some value in learning that lesson. I think just getting up and leaving because times are tough isn't always the right answer. It isn't. But I do understand why it happens. Like, I get it. Yeah. But that's also the nature of the culture now.
Right. Yeah. It's the easy way out. It's the entitlement piece, a bit of it, a little bit. Yeah.
A little bit. But like I say, there are more than enough reasons people transfer. But just because it's not going that well for you doesn't mean you should just give up on it.
Right. Well, I guess I don't want you to like disclose too much. I mean, like confidentiality. I mean, I'm sure you had a talk with Max when he did get the offer from Long Island. I mean, what was the conversation like? Did you tell him that, okay, well, Max, you're most likely not going to start. I mean, you're a freshman coming out of, West Vancouver, BC.
Yeah.
Was there a conversation around, okay, well, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to work through it. There's going to be juniors and seniors on that team.
Yeah.
Or even guide him to a place where you'll do better if you stay here and play at a lower, I guess, I mean, a CIS or U Sports.
Yeah.
Right. Like what's...
No, you know what? You get a Division I offer, you take it.
Go for it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was his goal. It was his dream.
Yeah.
And, coming out of high school, he wasn't going to get that. And so, going to that prep school was the best thing for him because he wanted to go down there. And so, no, he's got to go down there. Absolutely. And we'll see how he does, right? Like, it's very hard.
So you encourage it. Go through it. Absolutely. Go through the fire. Even if you don't get a minute of playing time, if you have to redshirt, go through it.
Absolutely, because no matter what, he'll get some value out of that. He'll learn a lot of things about becoming a useful, productive man, right? So no, I think it's a good thing. If any kid gets an offer to a Division I school, right, or an offer to a top U Sports school or Div 2, you should take it. Go, right? And do your research though, right? Like if you're a student and you have a bunch of offers, like do your research. Find out about the program. Who's returning? Who's coming back? What's the history of this coach, right? Whenever I would recruit guys, or guys would contact me, I'd take them out for lunch or whatever, and I'd always ask them, say, hey, so what do you know about me? What do you know about me? What do you know about Langara? And I was shocked at how many of them couldn't answer that question. I'm like, what? You want to come here and play for me in my program and you've done no research on it? Like, I could be a bad dude. Like, you should find out about me. Yeah. You should find out about the team. Who's coming back, right? Like, you're a point guard. You want to come play for me, and I've got Brody Gregg and Ravi Basra. Why would you come play for me? Other than you're going to get better in practice. If you understand that, great. But you're not going to play. So you have to do your research. I'm stunned at how many kids don't do that. They just take the offer. They just go to some prep school without studying about it. You better find out what you're getting yourself into.
So if they gave you the answer, oh, I want to get better. I'm going up against Ravi Basra and Brody Gregg, and I want to be in that environment and get better. You would
absolutely. Or if they said, oh yeah, no, Coach, from what I know about you, your teams like to run and get up and down the floor, and from what I know about you, you push your players and you're hard on them. Like, you should know that, shouldn't you? You should know what you're getting yourself into. And it stuns me how many don't. That's important to do because you might be choosing a place that really isn't very good for you, right? So you should find that out.
These are all things I had never even thought of. I mean, you're bringing up a whole side of the mentality and the school of thought that I never even came across. I don't even think and I think, I just... I guess I want to ask you about one thing. Like, I don't know if there was some sort of advice you'd give to yourself as a coach,
right,
since the start. What are some things that you would have maybe done differently or done more of? Or
can I give myself advice to not be so fat? Can I do that? Because I really wish I wasn't this fat. Is that allowed? Is that possible?
Yeah.
Is there a world where I can retroactively go back and lose weight? Can you make that happen, please?
I mean, that makes you though, Eves. I mean,
God.
it makes you that much more, in a way, lovable. I don't know.
There you go. There you go. Thank you, Fermo. See, you're not body shaming me. I appreciate
No,
that.
I mean, no, but Eves, I don't think people even look at you and be like, it's just, there's just so many other things. Like, I don't know. And that's one thing. How is it that every kid that you come across and coach, whether it's like a brief period of time or like a longer time, like throughout their whole high school career, how do you do it where you're so respected even years later? Like you gave that example of the kid that you coached 20 years prior, 10 or whatever, and coming up to you, saying hi to you. Like what is it that you think that you do? What is it that makes you so adored?
It's a really good question. I think it's all about building a culture. And I know you hear that a lot, right? You hear teams, Miami Heat culture or this, but it's so true. You have to create an environment where it's an environment where the players know that they're respected, but also know that you're going to challenge them, you're going to make them work hard, and you're going to give them opportunities socially, right? Like, I think some of the most important stuff I do as a coach is having that team dinner, or going on a trip to the islands or California, or like those are opportunities to know your athletes in a different way, right? And truthfully, I think for me anyway, being humorous, being able to make jokes, I think that's huge. If you can like bust your players' balls a little bit and have fun with that, and know that they're going to do the same thing to you, and you can take it. Like, I think that's important. I think it might not seem like a basketball thing. But it's an every sport thing. You have to create an environment. You have to create a culture where the players know that they can be themselves, but at the same time, everything you're doing in that moment is about the team. It's about the team. It's not about you. It's not about me. Every decision that we're making is about what's best for the team, right? And I think if you build in those social opportunities and you have a sense of humor, you make your practices very competitive but very fun, then I think you get buy-in. And that's what I'm talking about, why high school is so important. I don't think you can get that same type of experience in a club or provincial team setting, right? Because you're together, you're not with your buddies, you're not going to high school every day, you're not, there's nothing better than playing in the gym against a rival team and few hundred people in the stands cheering. Yeah. Well, there's nothing better than that. So if you can create an environment, create the right culture, this is what I tell young coaches all the time. I can help you with X's and O's and strategy and tactics, but if you can't build the right culture with your team, you'll never be successful. If you look at all the great coaches, that's what they do, right? They have tremendous interpersonal skills. They know how to deal with people, and they're able to build a culture of winning, a culture of competitiveness, a culture of sacrifice, a culture of loyalty. Like, those are all the things that you want to teach your teams. And I've been very blessed that I learned that at a very young age. I had great mentors when I was coming up as a young coach, right? Guys like Rich Goulet and Rich Chambers and Ken Dockendorf and, just Jack Kenyon, who was a great coach, who coached my brother at Mount Royal, right? And even coaches who I never really met. Don Nelson, who I did get to meet him, by the way.
Nice.
He's my coaching hero, right? And he was coaching Dallas with Nash was on the team. Yeah. And so my brother had got us tickets, and he got media passes because Doug was doing some work for the radio. So I had a media pass so I could go in the locker room, and I just wanted to meet Don Nelson. So Doug actually arranged it. So I got down there, and then the coaches went in this separate room before the guys were showering or whatever. And so I got to go in there to meet him. And it's so funny because one of his assistant coaches or whoever, associate coach, brings in this like little igloo cooler, right? Open it up. And that was his job, to make sure that Don Nelson had his Miller Lite after the game. So I got to hang out and have a beer with Don Nelson.
Wow.
Such an incredible experience. But like, obviously I don't know him and he didn't mentor me, but just watching him, watching how he coached, watching his interviews, watching the things he did on the court, him and Pat Riley, you can learn so much from these coaches, and all that they do is culture. It's all about culture, right? And by the way, so after I see him, I sit down, and I'm just waiting to see Steve. He's having a shower, so I'm sitting down in the locker room, All of a sudden, Mark Cuban sits right down beside me.
Oh, shit.
And now this game was really controversial. Dallas lost. It was against the Supersonics back when Seattle had a team, and Dallas lost in like the last minute. And there was some controversial call. Something happened. Mark Cuban sits beside me. He's got like the NBA. He's got the rule book. He said, and he just turned to me. Did you see that bullshit? Saying, what the fuck? And he's swearing up a storm. Right here, look, right here. This is what it says. Those guys screwed this up. I'm going to the league with this. And I'm just like, yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Cuban. Whatever you say. He was livid.
And he had no idea who you were.
No idea. No, he just needed to vent on somebody. So I just sat there and listened to it. It was hilarious. Anyway, he got up and left. And then I got up because Steve was coming out. I was going to go down to his locker. And all of a sudden, I turn. And I'm looking at a hip. I turn and there's this hip in front of me. It was Sean Bradley.
Oh, shit.
Who's 7'6". And I'm turning and I look and I'm like, I barely come up to this guy's dick. I mean, he's right. It was like, oh my God. I'm like, okay, I think I need to walk this way now. In basketball, I'm around tall people all the time. I know I'm short, but I don't think about it much, right? But standing next to Sean Bradley, I felt like I was about 4'10".
Wow.
Anyway, then I got a chance to chat with Steve. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I didn't know you had an ongoing relationship with Steve. You guys kept in contact.
Yeah, we kept in touch a little bit. Yeah, because he played for the provincial team for us in 1991. That was my first provincial team coaching experience. Goulet was the head coach. I was his assistant, and he didn't join us until we were in Vegas because he was with the national team, and then he got cut. as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, and he came and joined our team. And that was a wonderful experience. Within an hour of him being there, he was the leader of the team already.
Wow. Okay.
He just has that dynamic personality.
I was going to ask you, was there any defining characteristic of him that made you even slightly believe or predict that 15 years down the line he would be a two-time MVP?
No. We knew he was good, right? Like his intellect about the game was on another level. He really understood the game, and he had tremendous eye-hand coordination. His handles were sick. I mean, he didn't shoot that well in high school. He wasn't a great shooter. But we knew in the first game we played, like, oh, this is a special player. Like, he's going to have a chance to go somewhere, right? And isn't it ironic that he didn't get almost any looks except for Santa Clara?
Santa Clara.
Yeah, except for he got no other real looks. And, he made the most of it, right? I mean, the point guard got injured as soon as he got there. He got a chance to play. But he's a special player. There's some players you can't really teach it. They just have this. They understand the game. They know where their teammates are. They know, there's very few that come along like that. And so, yeah, I mean, we beat Alberta in the gold medal game at the buzzer in overtime. Steve scored a layup.
Wow.
But I guarantee you, if they had double or triple teamed him, he would have found somebody for another layup. Like, he was that good.
Yeah.
Never thought he'd end up like he did.
There's no, you would have never.
But seriously, if kids want to see kids, a lot of kids think they're working hard, and they're not. And you try to explain this to them. No, you're fake working hard. You are not working hard. Just because you dove for a loose ball late and didn't get it, that doesn't mean you're working hard, okay? Like, Steve worked hard. Like, Steve's work ethic was off the charts. When he was in Dallas, they'd do a training camp. They'd have their morning lift. They'd have their morning workout. They'd have their afternoon workout, and then their afternoon scrimmaging and playing and running 2 sets. And then, they were done like at 6 o'clock. Steve would stay. Him and Nowitzki would stay, and they would shoot for another 3 or 4 hours. Like, he put time in, and he put in quality time. And so when you have that combination of an unbelievable basketball intellect and an unbelievable work ethic, you can go a long way. And he got all the right breaks at the right time. I mean, playing for D'Antoni, that was designed for him, right? And he took that 7 seconds or less offense and made it into something that was just beautiful to watch, right? Now, if he had played for another coach that didn't have that philosophy, he still would have been great. But would he have had that opportunity to do what he did there? Probably not. So, it's a combination of skill, intellect, hard work, and also a little bit of luck. You got to get the right break at the right time. And
the intellect is very, it's just God-given talent. I mean, you can't really teach that. It's just
hard.
Something you're kind
of... It's hard to teach that. It is. Because it's all about decision-making and seeing and recognizing
being cerebral
things. Now, you can get better at that, and you can train to learn how to get better. But it just seems to me the guys that are truly special, they just kind of have that already. Yeah. And you have to be insanely competitive. I mean, Nash's competitiveness is insane. when I was helping with the national team, we were training at the old Grizzly Center. And it was like a few days before we were playing China, right? China was coming to play Canada. This was Yao Ming's first ever game in North America.
Wow.
It was amazing,
Holy
right?
shit.
And so we're practicing. Now, we're scrimmaging at this point. So Andrew Cook, who was a basketball Canada representative, he wasn't a coach, but he was helpful, and I was an assistant coach. And so Jay says, okay, you guys ref. And immediately we just stand under the hoop and ref from there, right? But before I pick a hoop, I'm looking, and I want to see what team Steve's on. And whichever direction he's going, I want to be at the other end. So I wait, and I sprint, sprint for me, but it was a sprint, under the hoop. And I'm away from, because I knew if I was at that other hoop, I was going to get shit every time down the floor, because Steve was going to bitch for a call, because he's so competitive. And so I'm at the other end, and I'm just laughing, and Andrew Cook is just getting ripped by Nash. But I mean, that's how competitive he was, right?
Yeah.
And that was one of the highlights of my career, was walking out of the tunnel at GM Place, or what's Rogers Arena, now,
yeah.
with the coaching staff, walking out the tunnel and looking up and seeing like 14,000 people there, because the game was sold out, because the Chinese community was in massively. They didn't want to see Yao Ming play, right?
Right.
And just to have that experience, wearing my Basketball Canada shirt. By the way, Basketball Canada did the worst job at giving me correct sizes. I'm like, for Christ's sake, I'm not wearing an XL. It'll be a halter top. Find me at least a double. Anyway, we wore black, so black is slimming, so it was okay. Anyway, just walking out there, and that was amazing. It was just unbelievable to see this huge crowd, and there's something special about, even though it was a very small moment, but there's something special about representing your country, right? And that was a pretty cool experience.
That's so awesome.
And we beat them too quite easily.
Wow. Okay. One last thing I want to talk about. Do you like watching the NBA right now?
It depends on the team that's playing.
Okay.
I don't mind watching it, but it really depends on the team that's playing. I tell you, you might be surprised by this. I don't like watching college basketball. I don't. I used to like it, but I don't now. I just find games are all like 57, 55, and like teams can't really score. The way the rules are set up, I don't like the rules they play. It's not an open or free. Like FIBA rules are very good. It's a very open game. FIBA rules encourage that. NCAA rules don't. NBA rules are pretty good too. But it just depends on the game. And I do, even though I'm not necessarily a big fan of how the game is played now, I think analytics has taken far too much. People have bought into analytics too much. I mean, I was doing analytics in the 80s when I was coaching, right? Like not the extensive stuff they do now, but I was charting, because the three-point line came in 1986, right?
Right.
I was charting three-pointers. I was letting my team shoot three-pointers. Back in those days, coaches wouldn't even let their teams shoot them, right? And I was charting minutes played, and because I think that stats are important, but I think it's gone too far now. And I'll give you an example. They say now in the NBA, if you have a 2-on-1, right, that instead of running to the rim for a dunk or a layup, run to the corner for three. And I say, okay, well, in a 2-on-1, what's the percentage of makes that guy that's going to dunk are? Like 99%? Mm-hmm. Like in a 2-on-1 in the NBA, it's over. Like they're too athletic. You can't really stop them unless it's, Manute Bol at 7'7", right? Mm-hmm. So I think the number's got to be at least 90%. So let's say in a 2-on-1 you make 90% of your layups. Now this comes back to math again. You're going to like this. So if you make 90% of your layups, that means if you take 10 layups, you're scoring 18 points. Okay? So if you run to the corner for three, you have to make how many out of 10? 6. You got to shoot 60% from three just to break even with the two-pointer, right? Is that the percentage people shoot from the corner threes? No. So, right. So that's a fallacy, right? That an open three is better than a layup or better even than a mid-range. It's a fallacy because the numbers truly don't add up. And the other thing about shooting all these threes, and it's weird coming from me because my teams probably shoot more threes than anyone, right? But people don't understand too, if you shoot an early quick three, maybe a pull-up from the top or just after one pass, and you miss that shot, where do the rebounds usually go? They're usually big rebounds. And what happens is you've got guys who are not ready to get back on defense. So you miss that three, big rebound, the other team gets it, boom, they're gone. 2-on-1, 3-on-1. They're scoring on you. So when you do analytics, you have to take that into account. It's not just, oh, well, he's shooting 40% from three. That's a good shot. It's like, okay, but what about the 2 or 3 you're giving up because of the miss? People don't understand that, right? So I don't like the fact that in the NBA now, it's just a lot of one-pass jack threes, right? And I'm not against the three-point shot, but the ball needs to move. The best teams still do it. Like, look at Golden State.
Oh, my God.
I mean, who moves off the ball better than Steph Curry, right? I mean, who knows how to create shots for people? The stuff they run is brilliant, right? You know, even D'Antoni, like D'Antoni ran some pretty good stuff. In Houston, he took the three-point shot to another level, right? But sometimes they relied on it too much, right? And I think you have to have those other parts of your game. Like, you have to have a post-up game. Very few people have that anymore, right? If you're a big guard, why wouldn't you want to learn how to post guys up, right? I posted Calvin up all the time, right?
Yeah.
Because in high school, he's usually playing against 5'7" or a 5'8" guard, right? So you have to have that part of your game. And I think the NBA has gone away from that too much. I think they relied too much on analytics and three-point shooting. So that part of the game I don't like as much.
And because of that, it becomes less enjoyable to watch.
I think so.
As a result.
I think so. Yeah, I really believe that. Yeah.
For me, that could be a part of it, and I think it is. But for me, still, it's just that competitive. There's no storylines. There's no real rivalries. There's no hate. It's just all these guys are friends. And
as we talked about before, it's hard to have that if players are transferring. If players are free agents and going to different programs all the time, right? Like, who's been the most successful program in the last 10 years? That's been Golden State. How many guys have they moved? Not a lot. Not a lot, right? And, like, it'll be interesting to see, like, if a team like Boston can keep all that, because that's a championship team, right? Obviously, the injury to Tatum killed them. But if they keep them all together, can they be successful, right? I don't know. But I do get what you're saying. It's not as competitive. The storylines aren't as good, right, than they used to be. Like, man, anybody that's listening, just watch the Lakers Celtics 30 for 30. Oh my God! Or even watch Michael Jordan stuff with the hate for the Celtics and the Pistons and the Lakers. Like, it's really good stuff, and it shows that you can be competitive as hell and get after it, and it doesn't make you a bad person, and it doesn't mean you don't respect the guys on the other team, right? So I think you're right. I think that element is missing a little bit.
Right. And it's just a whole different culture now, man. Like, also, like, these guys, all of them, so many guys in the NBA now have podcasts, and they bring other players onto the podcast, and which is great. I mean, they're expanding, and I have a podcast, so I'm not gonna.
So, like, when Magic kissed Isaiah on the cheek before the finals, when the Pistons and Lakers played, a lot of people look at that point and say that started the downfall.
Yeah. I mean, that's just for me. Like, even like thinking back, like when Kobe was playing, if podcasts were a thing, I don't think Kobe would be going on Kevin Garnett's podcast.
Yeah, that wouldn't.
It's just a different type of breed. I mean, that he's an anomaly, right? I mean, that's Kobe, but
his competitiveness was insane.
Yeah,
like, you talk to anybody,
and
you
he's
talk to anybody
outcast,
who
right?
played
Like,
for him.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he was very difficult to play with, but it's because he was so insanely driven, and he had very little patience for people who weren't as driven as his. Michael Jordan was the same way, right? He alienated a lot of his teammates because he wanted them to have that same level of compete and getting after it as he did. So guys like that who are special, they're so competitive. You can learn a lot from guys like that. Absolutely.
No, I hear you, Ebes.
Greatest player of all time? I'm going to put you on the spot. Well, I know what your answer's
for me,
gonna
it's
be.
Kobe.
Yeah, of course.
I grew up with him, and
I know.
Yeah, it's a different. I can say very confidently that LeBron James and even Stephen Curry are much more skilled than him.
I don't know. Curry's very skilled, no question.
Curry,
But no. I mean, Kobe's skill level was off the charts, but again, his compete level was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right?
But I'm open-minded enough to understand the argument that LeBron James is the GOAT. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like.
It really depends what era you come from, because most people consider Michael Jordan the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
I would rank Michael Jordan second, though, of all time.
Oh, I know. I think I know who you think. Wilt. Yeah.
The Big Dipper, man. Chamberlain was unbelievable. And he just came up in an era where people didn't see him as much. But, man, I mean, dominant. Like, ridiculous. In 1961 season, he averaged 50 points and 25 rebounds a game. And the interesting is they didn't keep track of block shots back then. But there's this guy who goes back and looks at video and figures out stats. And he said that he thought Bill Russell averaged 8.3 blocks a game and that Wilt averaged 8.8 blocks a game.
God almighty.
So think of the numbers of triple-doubles Wilt had, but they were never kept track of because they didn't keep track of block shots. So
there's a really rare photo of Wilt at Kitts Beach. Is that real?
Yeah.
Is that true?
He came, I saw him at Kitts Beach.
Holy
My
shit.
brother met him at Kitts Beach. My brother asked him for an autograph and he told him to go away.
Wow.
He played volleyball at Kitts Beach all the time. He loved volleyball. He was a volleyball coach. He started a semi-pro volleyball league. And can you imagine this like 7'3" dude with like a 50-inch vertical playing volleyball?
Oh my God.
And so he played volleyball at Kitts Beach quite a bit. He liked coming up to Vancouver. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember what year that was. I mean, it was probably would have been like 13 or 14, so 1974 or 5 or
Wow,
something like
okay,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, and my brother went up to him and said, "Hey, Mr. Chamberlain, can I have your autograph?" No.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a real story because I
yeah,
saw
no,
a photo of it and
yep.
I didn't really know if it was.
I don't think he ever played basketball at Kids. I'm pretty sure he didn't. But I know he played volleyball, and he was up here several times. Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he did love his women because he was a charismatic guy. I mean, I've seen a couple of interviews. He can talk.
Oh yeah, yeah, and very confident. Like he was very arrogant, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of people didn't like him for that. But I mean, he was just a freak of nature.
Right.
Like he could do anything. He was like a world-class high jumper, right? He was a great volleyball player. Like he was 7'3", and could he run the floor? And was he quick? And was he? He's one of the strongest guys ever to play the game, like
Right.
stronger as Shaq, like as stronger than Shaq. Nobody could stop him, right? And you know, also in that 1961 season, he averaged 48.5 minutes a game. So there's only 48 minutes in a game.
Yeah.
So that means he played every minute of every game plus all the overtime games. He averaged he never came out once the entire season from a
Holy
game,
shit.
and he never fouled out in his career.
Really? Is
Well,
that a
fact.
real stat?
That's a real stat. He never fouled out, because in the NBA you get 6 fouls.
Yeah.
He never fouled out in his entire career. So how much skill does that take to be the big dude that's blocking all the shots and getting all the defensive boards and not foul out? Yeah. Oh, trust me, I could go on forever.
Holy. See, I didn't know this. How would he do in today's NBA? Or
He dominated.
dominate still?
Absolutely dominate.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't a big, slow guy. You know, he was quick.
Yeah.
And he could, he would dominate. If in his prime, he would dominate. Just like Shaq, I think, would dominate now, too. Even though the game's different now. All these coaches talk about a lot of threes and analytics and running space. But if you got a Shaq on your team, all that shit goes out the window. Give him the damn ball 2 feet away because that's the highest percentage shot you're ever going to get, right? So if you got a big guy, you're not going to play that way. The truth is that just there's not as many big guys that are dominant like that anymore. Most big dudes now want to shoot threes, right? But I don't care what anybody says. If you can get a 7-footer, 2 feet away from the basket, I'm going to take that shot all day.
All day, yeah. Who's your favorite player in the NBA right now? Who do you like watching the most?
I love watching Steph Curry play.
Yeah,
he's just remarkable, and just the way he moves and cuts and knows how to screen to get open. And I think he's a very good player for guards and smaller players to watch how to play because it's not all about the ball. Most point guards think it's all about the ball. It's not. The ball shouldn't be in your hands that much if you're a good point guard. And he's just so fun to watch to play that way. So I even though he's getting towards the end of his career, I still really enjoy watching him play.
Yeah.
And you know who I would say that I picked up a bit of an appreciation for. I haven't really liked his game that much in the past. Is you're going to hate me for saying this, but is Russell Westbrook. I don't like his game. I don't. I don't like. But his work ethic and his he's a little dude, and he's strong as hell, and he's competitive as hell. And I never really appreciated watching. I don't like him. But as I've watched him play as he's gone older, he seems to me to have changed his the way he plays his game a little bit. Yeah. So my friends will be shocked that I'm actually saying this, but in a more backup role now, I think he's a better player than he was when he was getting all the triple doubles.
Wow, really? Okay.
Well, because it's not all about he understands now because he's late in his career that it's not all about him.
Yeah.
See, when he played, it was all about him, and he had the ball way too often, right? But I mean, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. But I think as he's gotten older, he's actually understood things a bit.
So his willingness to adapt is what's making you like him now.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Because that's what it's about, right? If you're going to win at any level, be it high school, college, NBA, you have to have guys who understand their role on your team. And everyone has to play a role. This is what Pat Riley was brilliant at. Pat Riley was the first to do it with the Lakers. He got those guys to understand that, you might not be scoring 30 a game. I only want you to score 18 because I need you to do this. And he had to convince NBA players to buy into that, and they did, and that's why they won. And I learned the importance of that from him and from a guy named Jack Kenyon, coached my brother at Mount Royal College. And if you don't understand how to talk to your players and get them to play a role, then you're not going to win, right? If you get them to all play their role, and you tell players, like, hey, I know you want to score more. I get it. And maybe that might change. But right now, I need you to do this for the team to win. I think if players understand that, you're going to be a successful team, right? Because then you don't have all this clashing, right? And that takes a long time to get to that. And it's hard to tell players that, hey, I think you should do this instead of that. But that's part of the relationship building that you have to do, right?
Yeah.
Like when you played for me, you knew when I put you in, what did I want you to do?
Just shoot.
Yeah, if you were open,
literally don't.
If you were open, you needed to shoot it.
Yeah.
And did I care if you missed it?
No.
No, because that was your role and that's what you were good at. Now, I still wanted you to play the occasional bit of defense, which you did, right? And I still, those things are important. But ultimately, our team's going to win if I know I can throw Mo in and he can hit 2 or 3 threes coming off the bench to help stretch the defense, right? And so, I know I need to put this guy in because he can defend that guy. Or shit, I need a rebounder. So you have to have players understand their role on your team, and that's part of the team culture thing, and that's also part of the team. You asked me like, how come your players seem to enjoy it so much, and I think it's because of that. I think that they know their role, and I think I'm honest with them. You have to be honest with your players, man. If you lied to your players, you're screwed, right? That's why when a player tells me, oh, hey, coach, I think I'm going to go to X university because I asked the coach and he said I'd start for him, I would tell them, don't go there. If a coach is promising you you're starting or promising you playing time, they're lying to you. They can't. How can you promise that to anybody? You don't know until you get them all there, right? You can promise, hey, look, I got a spot for you. I want you on my team, and I got a scholarship for you. I said, what happens after that? Up to you, right? You can't promise that, but a lot of coaches do that, and that pisses me off.
I think the biggest thing with you, though, Ebes, is like your interpersonal skills. I think you're just like your personality. Because the point you made before where, going to team dinners, going on team trips and all that, a lot of coaches do that, but it still doesn't, make an impact.
Right.
I think it's just who you are. I think it's a comfortability that you bring to players. I don't know.
I try to do that. I think, like, whenever I take a team on a trip, it's not about me. It never is. It can't be about me. It's about the team. And so I want to do things to make them have a fun trip. So I'm almost like a tour guide, right? Like, we're going to go to this place or we're going to go to Disneyland or whatever. And I want to plan everything to make it special for them. Yeah. It's not about me. It's about their experience, right? And I think that's how you build that team chemistry. I think that's how you build that culture, is you add that social side to it. Yeah, I think that's so important. Any young coach that's trying to figure out how to start, that's where you start. You start with the interpersonal skills. You start with building that team culture. Like, players should know, hey, what's important to your team? A player should be able to answer that intelligently. Otherwise, the coach isn't doing a very good job.
Right. To finish this off, I'm curious. Are you coaching still?
Yeah.
West Van?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm actually, I could have retired last year. I have enough years to retire. But I told my superintendent, I said, no, I like it too much. I like my job. I have a great job. I love it. And I still like coaching. And even when I retire, as long as physically I'm able, I'll coach. I'll go volunteer at a high school or maybe go back to Langara. I don't know. I'll coach. I get too much joy out of it. Like, I really do. Like, when teachers say to me, oh, hey, Ebes, how come you've been doing this for so long? Don't you get sick of it? And it's like, no, it keeps me young. Being around young guys, it keeps me young. But it's I get a lot out of it. And so for those teachers who don't do it, for those teachers who start at 8:30 and leave at 3, I'm not necessarily mad at those teachers. I actually feel sorry for them, because they're missing out on the best part of the job. They're missing out on what could be so rewarding. I've gotten so much out of this game. Oh my God. And I'm still getting stuff out of this game. I can't imagine not coaching, right? Like, you know, if I'm in a wheelchair on a ventilator, I'll still roll around there and try to coach.
That's so awesome. Yeah, Ebes, thank you. I mean, yeah, I genuinely appreciate like everything that you do and like what you've done. Like we had a like small time together, but like I'm always, whenever someone brings you up or whenever I talk to you, it's like, oh, I adore Ebes. Like how can you not? You know what I mean?
Oh, I appreciate
that. So, yeah, I want to thank you for coming on. Honestly,
yeah, no, I love talking hoops, and I love talking about things in the basketball community. Yeah. And you know, to all those people there, like I had so much support for that video. It was insane. But for the people that disagree with me, that was cool too. I actually reached every person on the comments that said something that they didn't like or was negative. I actually reached out to every one of those people. And you know, whether they reach back to me or not, it doesn't matter, because I think it's important. You have to have discussion about these things so people are educated. And it's okay if someone sees something differently. I don't have a problem with that. I think it creates more buzz about the whole thing. You know, I think this clash that's coming up now between the clubs and the high school seasons, I think I'm going to be putting on another one pretty soon, because I really think that we need to do something about it. And so I'm hoping to get a group of coaches together to say, hey, how can we make this work so that you guys are making money and you're doing good, but you're not putting kids in a position where they have to be on two teams.
Yeah.
And I think most club operators agree with that. So hopefully we can get to a position where, you know, they stop running tournaments during high school season, or they stop running teams during high school season. Because, I mean, we're not doing anything in the spring and summer, right? We're encouraging our kids to play provincial team if they can. If not, go to your local club. I mean, if you in North Vancouver right now, there's like 4 or 5 different choices for a kid to go play some club ball, right? That's a good thing, and that's what they should do. But allow the high school coaches to do what they do in the high school season, and we'll let you go in your season. I think I'm hoping that that's something we can get to. But I know there's going to be people that aren't going to be happy about that, and they're going to fight it. So I'm happy to have the fight, though.
Yeah, you have enough support. I mean, you have a lot of people behind you. So, yeah. Thank you, Ebes.
Yeah, I mean, it was, what, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, that you started this thing, man.
Yeah.
What number is this?
This is episode 119? 118.
118.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know.
You look like you really like it, too.
I do like it. Yeah. Have I gotten better as a host? I mean,
I think so.
Yeah.
I remember that first one we did. You were quite nervous.
I was really nervous.
Yeah, and you were like, oh, I got some things written down. And what did I tell you? I said, just be yourself.
Yeah.
You know, prep in your mind, but just be yourself, and it rolls pretty smooth. Yeah.
Even with this one, I was a little nervous, like just knowing it's you and I need to, you know, come correct and deliver, right? I'm still...
Nah, you do. And you have such a wide variety of guests. My God, I love it.
I know, yeah. Well, when we first started, when you came on, it was supposed to be a basketball podcast.
Basketball,
yeah, that's what it... Yeah. That was kind of the direction I was trying to go, but then at some point I was like, hey, there's only so much I can talk about basketball. Like, basketball's great, I love basketball, but I don't want to just pigeonhole myself to just basketball, right?
You branched out, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Keep up the good work.
Appreciate it. Oh yeah. Yes.